Hey, what's up, everybody? Dave at Dave's Man Cave. Where, yeah, I know I keep saying, and I say it every time I do this. All right, this will be the last watch video for a little while. And when I say the words, I actually mean it. But then something happens. I have weak will. I see a good deal, and then I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool. Let me get one of those. I am slowing down because I really only have one more that I've been looking for that I actually really like the idea of, and that is this guy right here we're going to talk about, and then I've got one coming tomorrow. And then honestly, there really isn't anything until I get to a point where I can spend like $1,000 on a watch or more. I'm going to hold off until then. There's no point in buying more less expensive watches. I have more than I can wear. And if I do, if you see me buying another one after I said I wouldn't, someone just punch me in the dick or whatever. We'll let Cameron or Johnny, we'll let you guys figure out which one is my number one fan and which one gets to do that. Meanwhile, right now, Johnny's going, who's this Cameron guy? Cameron's going, who the hell's Johnny? Anyway, don't fight over me. So I got enough love for everybody. So what are we looking at today? We are looking at the Casio Edifice. Now I've got a few Casios. I got my G-Shocks. My wife's got a G-Shock. I got my Casio Duo, which I think is an absolutely fantastic 200-meter basic diving watch that, $50. Nice quartz movement, date, water resistance. That's up here with the $425 Citizen. But this one just looked really, really cool. Now, this one is not 200-meter water resistant. It is only 100. So I could probably just wear it, frolicking around in the pool. And sometimes I do that. I frolic. But here is the model number. So if you want to pause it there's all you need. If you wanted to order one, I'll put the link in the description. So this is their Edifice series, which starts, not Oedipus, Edifice, Edifice. And they start like $89 for like a cheap one. This was $119, so still pretty cheap in 2024 for a nice watch. But they go up to $300-$400. There's some, and there might be a few that are higher than that. Casio's a weird company. You could buy a $20 watch, you could buy a $6,000 watch. Like, they're not like a Tissot or a Rolex or something where, you only have this range. They start at the bargain bin Walmart, $19 watches, and they go up to $6,000 and some a little bit higher for special edition watches. Casio is a good Japanese watchmaker. So what does this come with? Well, it comes with their typical manual that you could, this thing will be massive. By the time you open it all up, you could probably use it as a car cover or a tablecloth. You got warranty card, English, it'll be in multiple languages. Yeah, there's a box. There it is. You got your little pillow right here. Yeah, what's more to say? It's a pillow. And then, is this going to look nice? Ooh, this does look nice. This is very nice. So what do we got? This is the 10 bar. It's got a stopwatch, 10 bar water resistance. That's 100 meters. Again, there's the information, but I will put the link in the description. It's got a nice contoured synthetic rubbery kind of band that I'm hoping will be comfortable. Fairly standard clasp here. I'm just going to cut the freaking thing. So people are like, oh, but what about the resale value and keeping it? I don't care. I keep a watch for a while, unless it's an expensive watch that I decide I don't need and I'll sell. I'm just going to give a watch away. Like, I'm going to give Johnny that big honking Invicta when he comes to town. I will give him that, and this thing is stuck on here. All right, let's see if we can get this goddamn thing off of here. If not, all right, you know what? We're going to worry about it later. That's kind of annoying the way they tied it in a knot or something. We'll get that off later. Let's see. That's a good size watch. It's pretty too. All right, so no protective film on the back, just stainless steel. Edifice, basic markings, water resistant, 100 meters. It's got the model number. This one does not tell you what kind of battery it takes. And I really like when watch companies do that. When they tell you what kind it is, so you don't have to take it apart, see what it is, then run to the store. I can just go, oh, I need one of these, and next time I'm at the store, I pick it up. To me, that is convenient. I don't know why they don't do that. Anyway, stainless steel. The crown Is it a screw down crown? Doesn't appear to be. So what time do we have? It's the 4th. Let's see. Can we change the date alone? 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. And now let's pull this out and then we'll rotate it. I will say this is kind of hard to get to. The way these things stick out to protect it, but it doesn't give you that much and they're fairly big. So it's a little fiddly to get to it. I feel like it's slipping a little bit. I'm not spinning it as fast as I could. Yeah, not the end of the world. Let's see, the 8th. For fuck's sake, I hate having to do this. All right, so we got to go all the way around, get it to the 9th. Yeah, see, I'm spinning, but it's not, the knurling's not that deep, and my hand's hitting that. It's not a deal breaker. It's not like, oh, I would say, oh, I don't get the watch for that. It's just, if you've got to sit here and wind it, or, wind it around a bit to get it to where you want, I feel like I'm spinning it, but I'm only getting part of it. It's like I'm getting a little bit of traction, and I'm only getting part of that spin. On another watch that had that piece sticking out further, or this piece was bigger and had more knurling, I feel like I would have already finished this and I'd be moving on to something else and you wouldn't be watching me sitting here dicking around with this. So, you know what? I'll just do that off camera. I'm not going to make you watch that. We'll go and finish setting the time. So you got a sweeping second hand. Click, click. It seems to line up pretty well. We've got the stopwatch, which spins up top 1. So it does 1/10 of a second, looks like. 2, 3, 4. And then looks like you got, or that's tenths. What is that? Tenths, seconds down here, and then minutes up there. And then you've got reset, and everything goes and resets. It seems to work well enough. Let's see what it looks like on the wrist. That's a really pretty watch. I'll say, looking at this, the dial, the bezel does not turn. I don't think it's if it is an inlay, I don't know if it's ceramic or not. I'll look at the specs. I'll put the link and all that stuff in there in the description. I like that it's a really nice, you can very well, you can see the hands. Are they Lumi? Yep. Lumi. Again, don't know how bright how long it'll take it. Probably wouldn't last the night. Very few watches do, but that is a good size. So it's I think like maybe a 44 millimeter bezel. Looks about like it. I mean, if we compare it to, yeah, that's got to be like that. This one's like a 39. Yeah, that's a good bit. So that's got to be like a 43 or 44 mil bezel, which for my arm is just about perfect. The band is nice, so that goes under, and then kind of you adjust it to where it's right there above that little bump. So nice, adjusts pretty well. I've got a 7.3-inch wrist, just over 7 1/4. This does not have a backlight. It's basically just a simple watch with chronograph and a date. So I'll need to go ahead and set the time on that. If I compare this to, let's bring out the old Box O watches, the one I got yesterday that I've been really impressed with, and I just put on a new leather band. I got rid of that nylon, almost fabric-y. It looked nice, but to me it felt a little cheaper, so I went and got a nice quick detach leather with red stitching. And even though there's no red on there, I don't know, for me that just made it pop a little bit. This thing, it's been a little smaller. I'll say I wish that this was more the size of this, but they made it the size of the Omega Seamaster, the moon watch. But they're kind of a similar look. This has glass that is flush with the top, maybe sticks out just a tiny bit proud. This is actually a little bit rounded, domed. So it's, they're not, this isn't an homage to this. This is the homage to the Omega. But just to have them side by side, like it is kind of a, black, silver. The white stands out really well. And that's important when you're looking at an analog watch at a glance. You don't want to have to sit there and try to figure out where the hands are. Same thing on the Casio Duo. $49 watch, by the way, with 200 versus 100 meter water resistance. Fantastic beater diver watch that actually looks nice and clean. Bill Gates wears one of those. We got our Daytona clone over here. We've got our Omega clone. We've got a Submariner clone. But, you can see That one's a little busy, but on all of these, they've done a good job of making the dials very clear and legible, unlike this one. And I love this field watch. I think this is great. It's got the indigo, indiglow. You can't really see it in the bright sunlight in here. But this is a fantastic, cheap, reliable, durable 100-meter watch with a chronograph. It's a Timex. It will take a licking and keep on ticking. The thing will run forever. The problem with it is that, like right now, I can see the hand pretty clearly, the minute hand, and I can see the hour hand. However, when the hour hand gets over one of these complications, it's all in the exact same color ink, and the bands, the stripes that are painted on there aren't that much wider than the numbers and other stuff. So at certain times of day, like right now, I could look at that in about 2 seconds. Okay, I can see where it is. This is just instant. I look at it and I go, okay, this is 229, 230-ish, or 130. It's right there. You can basically tell. Here, depending on when it is and if the minute is on top of the hour hand, you almost can't tell what time it is. I feel like this is a really great watch, but they should have made, in trying to have this overall earth tones theme, they should have made the goddamn hands white. And that was the critique on this one, on the V2. They fixed it. They listened. On this one, I don't know if this is going to stay in my collection because it's a nice looking watch and it's casual and it's reliable and it should be pretty damn durable, and it's nice having a stopwatch. But if I have to sit there squinting at the damn thing to see what time it is, then to me that's not good. This is good. This thing feels really good on the wrist. It's got just the right curve for if you've got a wrist that's like 7.25 to 7.5. Not that you can't wear it smaller or you can't wear it bigger, but I think you will love. I mean, that just curves right to my wrist. No hot spots. It's not a heavy watch, other than getting this stupid string off. Very simple, very clean, but it's elegant. I love the black silver. I love the silver highlights, and then it's got that little bit of color, that little bit of aquamarine on both the hour markers on that dial. Wish I could get an iPhone to focus video as well as a Pixel phone, but it's just, Apple's better at some things and worse at others, and this is one of them. The Pixel videos would be 10 times better. I probably need to start doing my videos on the Pixel again. But in any case, here we are. Having that little bit of color, I think, just wakes it up without it being shouty. It's not garish. It's subtle. You'd look at that and go, that is a really nice looking watch. You're not going to mistake it for a Rolex or an Omega or, a Breitling or something. It's a Casio. But Casio makes a nice watch. There's nothing wrong with a Casio. You can say, well, a cheap $20 Casio. Yeah, but you got G-Shocks like $200. These are well regarded, $130. There's G-Shocks costing thousands of dollars, and they're considered premium luxury-ish watches. They're just really well made. And the Edifice is nice too. Now they've got one that I thought was really nice that I like, but they start at like $600. I don't know if it's the Nautilus or something like that. It's more of their real ocean dive luxury line, and they start, I think, around $595. And for $595, I'm probably not going to buy a Casio. I could go get the Tissot T-Race, or if you go more than $600, you're almost getting into Tag Heuer territory. Some of the entry levels for that. But I'll tell you, for this, for $120, have a really nice band. It doesn't wiggle around or creak. I mean, they made it. It's tight. A lot of times, you throw a band and there's that little bit of wiggle and then it kind of flops around. That thing is secure. Like, it bends, but it's not wiggling. There's no creaking. There's no movement or any kind of thing. Like, that's going to be one that sits on my wrist a lot, I think. It's just a really pretty watch, very useful, and the price is right. $120 for a watch with a decent warranty that should have good timekeeping, decent water resistance. Would have been nice to see it with 200, but the watches with 200 meter resistance, I think here I've only got, well, the G-Shocks are always 200 for the most part. That's 200, that's 200, and this Invicta's rated for 200, so I guess it's not that uncommon. But the Bulliva's only 100, that's 100, that's 100, that they say is 100. So, I try not to go less than 100 unless it's a purely dress watch that I'm never really going to wear in the pool or riding or get caught in the rain or anything like that. Then if it's only 3 or 5 atmospheres, I'm like, whatever. If it gets a little bit of rain on it, it won't be enough to force it in and ruin it. But those kind of watches are probably going to have the leather straps and, won't be as conducive to getting wet anyway. 100 is what I would want minimum just to be able to swim in the pool and not have to worry about it. And 200, if I'm going to be out in the ocean or really spending a lot of time in the pool or diving or jet skiing or anything like that where there's going to be impact, where that water can hit it and maybe force its way in temporarily, because there's the pressure of the water, the static pressure of however many atmospheres and how deep you are, the weight of the water pushing in, trying to get force water into the inside. But when you hit it at speed, there's that temporary, because water resists. That's why, when you dive in from a certain height, the water feels like sand almost. It wants to resist that initial hit. That pressure, that temporary spike can force water in. And so if I was going to be jet skiing or doing a whole bunch of diving or something like that, or going deeper or scuba or something where I'm going to be underwater at like maybe, 20, 30 feet for a while, I'm going to reach for the 200s, right? I'm going to go for the dive watch. I'll probably go with the G-Shock just because if I bang it on a rock or something, I won't scratch it up like I will that. But I wouldn't use 100. 100 is going to be reserved for pool, hanging out in the hot tub, take a shower, take a bath, go riding, get caught in the rain. Not a big deal. It'll be fine. So that is the new Edifice. And I got to say, that's, I think, one of the better looking watches. These are very utilitarian, although I think they look good. This is nice and clean, but it's not very fancy. Like, this is kind of fancy. And these three are sort of fancy-ish. This one almost, I'll say, other than take this one out of the mix and the over-the-top, copies of, $6,000 to $20,000 watches that these ones are. I mean, I would say this is probably one of the cleanest, while still looking fairly fancy and attractive, and not so utilitarian. It's probably one of the nicer ones that gives you that sort of blend out of my collection here. So that is the Edifice. And there is one more coming tomorrow. That is an titanium, US made, I believe, 200 meter Bertucci A2T titanium field watch, military style watch. And that should be amazing. I've been really thinking about it. I'm like, I don't want to buy one of those. Happen to find a good deal on one. I'll tell you one deal I missed. I found a nice Ducati Corsa watch. It's made by somebody for them, but it's got the Ducati Corsa licensing and packaging. And it was like $159. And it's a Swiss quartz watch, and it's actually a really nice chronograph. And I was like, I should get that for $159 just to have. It's kind of cool. My wife has a Ducati. I've had a bunch. I'll probably have another, so I don't feel like too much of a poser. And I was like, I'll think about it. And I thought about it for a week, and the price shot up to $270 on Amazon. And so maybe it was just a limited time deal. Now the pricing is more than $100 more, and I'm like, I don't want it that much. Should have gotten that. But that's the new Edifice. And there's a few different models. There's some that have different layouts. There's some that don't have the chronograph, or they have the complications in different places. There's some that are metal. They have different colors. So the Edifice is like a whole line. And then they've got, 10, 12, 15 different choices within that line. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful watch. I'm going to enjoy wearing that. Right now, the ones that I'm wearing the most, well, I've only had it for a day, but this Pagani, I got to get this new leather band. I literally just put this on. It arrived with this one. The leather band is definitely nicer. I've got to break that in. But these two are probably going to be higher up in my rotation. If I'm riding motorcycles or I'm beating around in the pool or doing yard work, the once in a blue moon, my wife actually can get me to do yard work. I throw on the G-Shocks. I'm just not worried about scratching them or anything. But, this has been my kind of go-to. And like I said, they do look kind of similar. That's nice. So anyway, if you haven't seen the Pagani one, go watch that video. It's a really cool video. If you like the Omega, Swatch had a version because Swatch owns Omega. And so there's they call it the Moon Swatch. But they're a few $100s if you can find them, and they're plastic cases. So while it looks like the Omega and has the Omega name, it's a Omega. It's made by Swatch, and it's got a plastic frame. You can pay $250 or $300 if you can find one for a plastic Swatch, or spend just under $100 for an actual stainless steel sapphire crystal homage made by Pagani. Upgrade the band, and you're still in for $110. Not that much. But enough of those. This is the one we're here to see, and that is a beautiful watch. That's a really nice watch. Screw on back. The only downside is I wish they'd put the damn battery type on here, but a lot of them don't. I just appreciate it when they do. And it would be nice if it was water resistant to 200. For a watch that looks like, I guess it's a chronograph. I guess it's not really a dive watch. But to me, it kind of looks like a dive style watch. And for me, I'm like, oh, that means you should be diving or going in the water. And I feel like you need at least 200 meter water resistance. And so I'm always a little disappointed when they don't have it, because here's a $120 watch that doesn't have it. And the same brand Casio $49 watch does. But it also doesn't have a chronograph and has a screw-down bezel, and maybe that's the difference. Once you don't have a screw-down bezel and you start adding extra buttons, that's where the water can get in, and it reduces the water rating. But anyway, that's all I've got. We had 20 minutes. I'm going to stop talking. Go check these out. This is really nice. Let me just do a couple little close-ups if I can get the friggin' camera to focus decently. It's a beautiful watch. It's very well, seems very well, put together. I like the band a lot. I like the band that fills in and brings up a little bit of material here so that there's not just this like big gap where it just drops away. I really like that. I like the way that looks. And it just makes it feel really nice and secure on your wrist. So, all right, everybody, that's all I got. Casio Edifice.